and I'll never back down. In the middle of the ring is where I lay the smack down. Against all odds, I will always prevail. So when you step to me, it's like hell in a cell.
What's up guys, Delzinski here, and I am joined again by Weeds, and welcome to another We Talk. Weeds, do you want to say hello?
Yeah, I'm well, mate. How are you?
I'm good. I am good. Thank you very much. Today we are going to be talking about, well, you can't exactly not talk about it, considering it is the talk of the town in terms of the wrestling industry at the moment. We are talking about Hulk Hogan. This is a Hulk Hogan special We Talk, as he returns tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw at Greenbay, Wisconsin.
What you going to do, Delzinski?
I don't know. I'm going to mark out, most definitely.
Same here.
But yes, Hogan is coming back. He's going to be the host of WrestleMania 30. He's going to be at Monday Night Raw tomorrow night in Green Bay, as I just said. What do you think about this, Weeds?
Well, he had to be involved, didn't he? He was at the first one, obviously. He is, other than Shawn Michaels, he is Mr. WrestleMania, really, isn't he? He is what this fantastic event that's been built up over the years has been built on and around, and it's thanks to him, I suppose, that pro wrestling arguably went as mainstream as it did.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm looking forward to him coming back, I've got to say. It's sort of very nostalgic that he is coming back at WrestleMania 30. I said before, when I heard that his contract was up at TNA and that they weren't going to renew it, that he had to come back at WrestleMania 30. I felt it was only right, and how could you have, the granddaddy of them all, the big 3-0 without Hulk Hogan? It wouldn't have felt right if he wasn't going to be there. So for me, it's a big deal that he's coming back, just because Hulk Hogan, the brand, is absolutely massive.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there was a lot of talk, wasn't there, even before this got signed, just before the weekend. I think months in advance, isn't it? He's been talking that he's going to be looking to get out of his TNA contract. He had no real desire to even look to renew it, and I think this reunion was always on the cards, wasn't it?
Yeah, he marketed it really well, because he dropped those hints all the time. That I watched his Twitter feed, and he would retweet people if they said, "Oh, Hogan, you should be back at WrestleMania. You should be in the WWE again." He'd retweet some of them. He was throwing signals out there during that time that his contract was coming up to expiration. Do you think ultimately it was good of him to actually even sign to TNA in the first place?
I don't think he really advanced the product too much, did he?
No, he didn't.
To be completely honest with you, though, Hulk Hogan is the reason I watch wrestling today. He is the thing that got me into this. So probably a little bit harsh, but I don't really consider the work he did with TNA to be of the utmost importance, particularly to him. TNA, I think it was quite a big deal getting someone of his kind of stature involved with the company. But of course, having Hogan and having the backdrop of what comes with him, it has quite a bit of baggage. But for me, I'm really glad he's coming back. It's him coming home again. About 12 years after he was previously on WWE. Well, other than 2005, I think he was back. But yeah, it feels like he's come home.
Yeah, I would agree. I am massively disappointed that he did what he did to TNA, to be perfectly honest. When he did sign originally to TNA, I thought it was very exciting because, Hogan and Bischoff going into TNA, that's a big deal. They acquired two massive names in the wrestling business. Unfortunately, they didn't do what they were supposed to do in TNA, which was almost just ultimately sell the brand. That's all they should have been there to do. They shouldn't have made themselves the be-all and end-all, and that's what Hulk Hogan became. He became the main star of TNA when they already had cemented stars in that company. So I think he oversold himself as TNA, the brand, and that was wrong. It wasn't Hulk Hogan is TNA. It should have been Hulk Hogan promotes TNA.
No, I think you're definitely right, and I'm sure we'll cover it in more detail throughout this. But I seem to remember when he came back to WWE, I think in 2002. It was very much, I think it was the NWO as he first came back, and he was very much, they played we're on the best behaviour kind of cards.
Yeah.
And I think that was what Vince had. Vince ultimately had a lot of control over what he wanted to do, and ultimately they gave him that one last title reign. I think going into TNA, like you were saying, he kind of had free reign of what he could do with that character. It's like the old WCW days at times.
Don't let him do that.
Yeah, well, he even got his daughter involved, didn't he? With I'm Bully Ray.
Yeah, Buggy Roy. It's the problem is, and you really did nail it on the head there. WWE do something very different to what WCW did and what TNA did. They control Hulk Hogan. They know that when Hulk Hogan comes to WWE, like he has in the past when he's made his return previously, they know what they want to do with him, and they also know that he has limitations, and they only use him how they want to use him. It is not you get to do what you like with your contract, Hulk. You will do as we say. You're working for us. And that's where it went wrong with WCW. That's where it went wrong with TNA. Hogan was allowed to pretty much free roam and do what the hell he wanted. And that's not the Hulk Hogan that is best for business, I think. The best for business Hulk Hogan is the one that Vince pretty much controls.
No, definitely. I mean, he didn't need to go over in TNA in whatever fashion. I don't think he really did, but he probably didn't. He probably needed someone telling him and reining him in a little bit more than he seemed to have on that program. It's like you said with WWF, when I think the first time when he came round to leaving, Vince was basically saying, I don't think Hulkamania is going to be that marketable anymore. It's had its day. Off you go into the sunset. If you want to try your hand at Disney Studios down the road in Florida, by all means, have a go. And to be honest, it didn't really work in WCW for a number of years, did it?
No, and then he donned the black and the white of the new world order, and it was
Struck
success
gold.
ever since. Yeah, turning the biggest name in the wrestling business heel was fantastic. It has to be one of my favourite moments. I've got the NWO DVD, the Revolution, the 3-disc set, and cheap plug. But it is brilliant watching that moment over and over again. I can't. Was it at Bash at the Beach?
It was Bash at the Beach.
It was
in
Bash at the
'96. He was the elusive third member, which I think everyone thought was going to be Bret Hart for quite a while, and I think Bret. Was it a few months later, or was it about a year? It was a year later that Bret actually finally ended up going. But obviously, he was that elusive third member that came in and dropped the big leg on Savage.
Yeah, it was so good. It was like that put WCW back on the map that night. That night was just, it was crazy. I can't, and the promo that Hogan cut that night. You forgot it was Hulk Hogan. This was a proper monster heel coming out that night. And moving forward, he was a monster heel. I mean, the NWO was cool and all of that, but Hogan sold that heel pretty damn well.
Yeah, I think you're completely right again. And I know we've spoken about this another time, and it always rings around with Cena, what's going on with him now. I think the difference with him and Hogan, because a lot of people say, well, Hogan did it, so Cena should be able to do it. They don't need to worry about the marketing. It shouldn't be too much of a problem if Cena does it. However, the difference is WWE, I think, still think that Cena is absolutely marketable to them. He's still going to sell millions of t-shirts, DVDs, whatever it is, and maybe they, I think they put quite a lot of faith in Cena that he doesn't hold them to ransom, any of those kind of things that, sometimes Hogan did get questioned about. But I think Hogan ended up turning heel out of necessity more than anything else.
He wanted to reinvent himself, I think.
Yeah, I mean, how many people in the industry have gone from being the absolute number one babyface on the planet to the number one heel on the planet. I mean, not even, it's not even close to other people coming near to how over he was in both of these roles, is it?
Who can get away with having a spray paint or some sort of black makeup as their facial hair? I mean, only Hulk can do that.
I did wonder what that was for the first few months, and I was like, okay, he's sticking with it.
I'm donning that beard tomorrow night, mate. No, everything about it was cool, though. That was the thing. Everything about the NWO was cool. And Hulk Hogan, look, let's not beat around the bush here. Hulk wasn't exactly a spring chicken at this time. He was an older guy, but you used to thought Hogan was cool.
Yeah, I mean that was it. He's never been able to move around that ring, even in his younger days when he looked old. He's never been the most sprightly, has he? But I mean, what he was great at doing, and he still is. And I was saying to you earlier, watching some of his old matches today, he just tells fantastic stories. And I mean, everything. I mean, even with the same stuff with the hulking up and stuff, you've only got to look at the crowd to just see how it's just ridiculous how over someone can actually be to that extent. But no, I mean, he could talk. Absolutely fantastic speaker, wasn't he? Let me tell you something, Mean Gene. Brother. And you got to obviously say your prayers, eat your vitamins, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, he was just he's like a dream, isn't he? He's like that total package completely when it came to wrestling.
He's not Lex Luger.
No, it's not that good. No.
It's just one of those things. When you look back on Hogan's career, it is that moment from being, the yellow and the red to the black and the white to even going back to the yellow and the red. To me, every time he came back to the WWE, there was nothing wrong with it. There was nothing ever like, oh, Hogan's back. Everybody gets excited about the name Hulk Hogan, Hulkamania. It's just that special thing in wrestling. To me, it will be a massive night, and I think the roof is going to get blown off in Greenbay.
You know what it's going to be like. As I said, this is exactly the reason I started watching wrestling years ago to see Hogan. And I think tomorrow, the last time he came back on Raw, they went off, didn't it? It went off for about 8 minutes. They couldn't shut the crowd up. It's going to be the same thing tomorrow.
It's that bit in the ring where, he goes to each section of the crowd, does the hand to the ear, that side erupts, then he goes, look, this side, I want more out of you guys, come on, and then goes to that side. He knows how to get the crowd buzzing, and he doesn't even need to do that because they're already buzzing here in the Real American music. Actually, saying that, what music's he going to come back with? Is he going to come back with Voodoo Child, or is he going to come back with Real American?
Oh, it's going to be Real American, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd expect
Has to be.
I'd expect so. He went through that stage where he was a bit too cool for Real American, but he's gone back to that in the past, and I think he must don that music for his return tomorrow in Greenbay. I was going to say to you, this was a really interesting subject I was thinking about. How in the blue hell are they going to get Hogan and Warrior on the same show at WrestleMania 30?
I told you, he's going to induct him.
No freaking way is that going to happen. I have watched the shoots that the Warrior has done on Hulk Hogan.
You Hulk Hogan.
I have seen what he said about Hulk Hogan. Quite frankly, very disrespectful. Maybe there's things that Hogan has done, but there was some of the things the Warrior said I just can't condone. These two in the same arena is just, they're going to combust.
It's going to be interesting. But I would imagine it's probably the first time they've been together again since Halloween Havoc back in, 98, something like that. I think Hogan's still waiting for a Warrior to put him over, isn't he?
I can't see it happening. I genuinely think that Warrior won't be at WrestleMania. He'll be at the Hall of Fame.
He'll do a Brett.
I don't think he'll be there. I don't believe he will want to see Hogan's face. He really does dislike the guy. And
for a Warrior, though, he's going to have to find someone to induct him.
Can you imagine how he felt? Can you imagine? He's just been invited back, Hall of Fame, promoted WWE 2K14, and they're like, yeah, just to let you know, we're going to re-sign Hulk as well. Again.
It's not going to be Jake the Snake inducting him in, is it?
Well, it's certainly not now. No, not after Jake said a few things and words were exchanged between those two.
T, that's all I say.
I just think that is a very interesting subject, Warrior and Hogan, and coming to the granddaddy of them all. Maybe we're going to get a match. Oh my goodness! Really?
Just as long as there's no trap door for anyone to fall through again.
That's it, isn't it?
One Warrior Nation.
We've got it. That is the main event at WrestleMania. Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, one more time.
One more time.
Zimmer frames.
What's more likely is you're going to get a 70-year-old Vince McMahon walking down the aisle, dropping the big leg on both of them, and then, declaring himself undisputed champion of the world, of everything.
You've ruined it. You've ruined it all.
Oh yeah, he made them here. As he said, he'll kill them.
I know we're taking the mick a little bit, but it is interesting. I can't see those two coming together. But all in all, it is absolutely fantastic. I know sometimes we say, look, bringing back the legends is not always a good thing because it hinders the likes of Cesaro, hinders a Bryan. But I don't necessarily think this does. If they're going to use him as the host, that's great. But ultimately, you've got to wonder, is he just going to be around to promote the network, or are they actually going to use him in any sort of angles going forward?
I would like to see him involved in some kind of angle. Again, I can see him getting him. Well, you can't really even touch Hogan at the moment because bits might fall off. But
his back might snap.
I was going to say it was quite cool. I mean, that's what he used to do when he came back. He put so many people over, didn't he, in 2002? And maybe he can be included in an angle of those kind of sorts. I remember he put Kurt Angle over. He definitely put Brock Lesnar over on SmackDown.
If Brock F5s him, that is the end. Hogan ain't making it to WrestleMania. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say if the fight, we might not see him again till WrestleMania. But no, I think it's just going to be. It sounds like in all intents and purposes, it's going to be an absolutely fantastic night tomorrow. When Raw does roll into Green Bay. So I was going to say, any favourite matches from Hogan's past for you?
Favourite matches. I did enjoy The Rock and Hogan. I did enjoy that time when it was the NWO version of Hollywood Hogan, so to speak, against The Rock. I thought that was a really good match. The crowd was absolutely hot as well because
they didn't really do a lot, did they? But it is. I completely agree. It's an absolutely fantastic match.
But you just couldn't call the crowd. Some wanted The Rock, some wanted Hogan. Ultimately, I think even when The Rock won that match, he got booed.
He did. I think they tried to say it was a partisan crowd, one of JR's specials there, but it really wasn't, was it? It was completely in Hogan's favour by the end of it. And they even had the great bit, didn't they, at the end when the NWO, the other two members came out, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, with like, what's going on? And they saw him off, didn't they? That kind of redeemed The Rock somewhat. So I think they may have been expecting it. But no, it was that was a great one. Any others?
I'm going to ask you what your favourite match was.
WrestleMania 6.
Oh, really?
Is my favourite. Again, it was one of those. It was larger than anything that was going on. It was bigger than titles. It was like the world literally colliding. And yeah, I was very upset that Warrior won. In case anyone was wondering about spoilers, he did go over 24 years ago. That
was like the golden age of wrestling when everybody was caught up inside the moment. It wasn't like it is now, so to speak, where social media, social networking is all the big deal. It was all about, the federation back then, and that's why it was such a great match.
Yeah, it's before everyone, stuff like this was around and there was commentaries. I mean, you were going to find dirt sheets, wasn't it, to find out what was going on. But yeah, I mean, Warrior obviously came out on top of that one, and ran with it for years and years. No, 9 months. 9 months, that was it. He had it taken off him by the Rumble, didn't he?
That's why the rematch is going to be at WrestleMania 30.
I was going to say, do you remember many of Hogan's matches in WCW? Because I can remember one, I think, and it's only one that sticks out.
He rarely had a proper match in WCW. It always had a run-in or had an angle where, or they just didn't have enough time to show the damn match, to be honest, because they'd spent so much time talking. Obviously, remember the Sting one? Remember that?
Yeah, that was huge. Starrcade 97.
Yeah, but they botched the ending because it always should have been that Sting went over clean in that match, and they cocked up that ending as well.
Was it a fast count, that one?
They restarted the match, didn't they? If I remember rightly.
Was it Brett? I think Brett does the count or something.
Yeah.
Then I think he literally had it taken off him the following night.
It was a total cluster. I mean, when you have someone like Sting who's going through that year-long storyline or whatever it was.
Didn't say a word.
Yeah, they did all that brilliantly, and then they brought it to a head at Starrcade, and ultimately the match didn't live up to the year-long storyline. Stupid.
It kind of sums up the NWO's time in WCW, though. It started off so well and then runs out of steam. And yeah, I think that would be the defining moment, I think, of WCW for Hogan. Yeah. I mean, the other one I really remember is the Goldberg one.
Yes.
But again, they did it on Nitro, didn't they? It obviously had a lot of people tuning in for it. But I just wanted to see if he was going to put him over clean, and he did.
I think it was a hell of an effort to get him up for the jackhammer, because
he was going up whether he wanted to or not.
Even then, Hogan was struggling for mobility in the ring. Touching on what you said as well about the NWO, it's that time of day to call it quits when you recruit someone like Virgil into the NWO.
It's only because the $1 Million Man couldn't find him.
So that's
off looking for Sapphire.
It got to that stage where it was like, really? They just recruited until the NWO engulfed WCW, and there was no more company left to have.
Exactly. I mean, that's what I was going to say about the WCW. I used to watch them for the promos, and then I used to flick over to Raw for the wrestling. I don't know if you did something similar.
Yeah, that was exactly it. You'd love the NWO make it. Their entrance could last about 15 minutes and you wouldn't get bored of it. That was the funniest thing. By the time they'd all got out the limo and got to the ring,
it was 15 minutes.
Yeah. So, but no, it was a great time. That wrestling period when Hogan was in WCW in the NWO. But I feel now he rightfully deserves to return to the red and the yellow, Mr. America, so to speak. Hulkamania does return, and at WrestleMania 30, it certainly will.
Yeah, definitely. He's gonna be there with his feather boa, with his yellow Ray-Bans that he's got on, and yeah, I absolutely cannot wait. Fast forward the Elimination Chamber for me tonight. I want to see Hogan tomorrow.
I want to see Hogan get involved in that Elimination Chamber, come in and win the belt.
Don't tempt him.
Yeah, I know. If you sell it to him, he'll do it. Yes, so I mean that pretty much wraps it up. We really wanted to just talk Hulk Hogan and his career. I mean it's an awfully massive career to sort of fit into 25 minutes, but we picked out the best bits, and obviously we are both very excited to see him come back at WrestleMania 30 and tomorrow night in Green Bay, Wisconsin on Monday Night Raw. So I think that's pretty much it, don't you say, Weeds?
Yeah, I'm going off to eat my vitamins and say my prayers.
Oh, really?
Indeed.
Oh, no beaver cleavage this week?
No, computer's broke.
Oh, okay, no more beaver for you then. Anyway, guys, all that's left to be said is let me know via the comments box below your favourite Hulk Hogan moments. Was it the NWO? Was it when he came back to the WWE? Was it actually TNA that you enjoyed Hulk Hogan in? Don't know about that. Yeah. But let me know via the comments box below. Let Weeds know via the comments box below. Also, guys, go check out Weeds' channel. I will leave a link in the description box to his channel. He'll be doing all sorts of gaming. He has got Elimination Chamber predictions on there as well. So get over there, because tonight is the Elimination Chamber. And all that is left to be said is please rate, comment, and subscribe. This is Delzinski and Weeds.
Until next time, brother.
Signing out.